to my channel. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Joy and this is Mrs. Joyful Joy. This vlog is basically everything from mum life to family activities. I'm not 100% sure what it's going to be, but I've just got some ideas to make some videos that hopefully will help other people. So if you do like what you see, please subscribe, like the video, give it a share if you want to as well, but press the bell notification and you'll be notified next time a video goes up. I'm not starting this very well, am I? But let's get to it. So I decided to do this video because YouTube was a place that I went to when I was looking for someone to relate to. So as of the title that you can tell, this video is about my postnatal depression and severe anxiety disorder. It wasn't until after Ruben's first birthday that I was starting to feel a little out of sorts. Now, whilst I was pregnant, the only thing that wasn't enjoyable was I'd started to get quite panicky. A fear developed that when I'm in a queue in a shop, that I was going to pass out. Like, I was getting really hot flushes, so I'd be taking off layers and I'd just be there in a vest top, and I was pregnant through the winter, so it was a little odd looking. And I was just getting really hot and really, oh my god, I'm going to pass out. And my main fear was that I was going to pass out and fall forwards onto my bump. And that was a big thing. It started to become a little bit, oh gosh, it's quite debilitating. Is that the right word? Yeah. And I just thought, oh god, oh, it's just pregnancy, oh, it's just hormones, blah, 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 blah. Well, it wasn't just pregnancy, because that stayed with me. And actually, it got a bit worse after having Ruben. That was the first thing that I noticed, that I was struggling. And it was only in certain situations. I was struggling in shops. I was struggling in queues. I'd walk into a shop and this wave of heat would just fill my body. It'd start in my feet and in my legs, and it would just work its way up, and within seconds, oh, I was up here. My level was up here and I needed to get out. So a couple of times I didn't purchase what I went in the shop for. I ended up just leaving it, dropping the basket, dropping the trolley, whatever it was, and leaving with Ruben in the pram. And this was one reason why I felt I couldn't wear Ruben. I bought carriers, but I couldn't wear him because I was petrified of passing out or falling, or I don't really know what that was, but I never really wore Ruben around. Occasionally I'd put him in the baby Bjorn carrier, but only if I had someone with me. So that was that, and that I was living with that. And then, yeah, after Ruben turned 1, I started to feel a little bit like it wasn't just my anxiety. There was other things creeping in. And I'd been to see the doctor and I'd been to see a counsellor, just to try and help me through this anxiety and how to, it wasn't going to go away, but how to deal with it, some coping strategies. So I'd been doing all those, and I just felt like they weren't really working anymore after he turned 1. And other things were creeping in. I was very emotional. I could watch the news and cry. And it wasn't even like the sad stories. It was politicians had fallen out, or, oh, I don't know. It would just be anything. I'd just be crying at anything. And I'm not that kind of person. Like, my name's Joy. I'm pretty joyful. So I started, in the back of my mind, I was like, what's going on here? Why? I don't understand. So I actually had just put it down to my anxiety, to be honest. I just felt like, oh, maybe this is all linked. And then one day I was watching a daytime program called This Morning. I'm sure you're all well aware of it. And they had a phone in, as they always do, with either a doctor or a health professional or therapist or whatever it was. And they were talking about postnatal depression And I was like, no, that's not me. No, that's not me. I don't have that. Mine's anxiety. And they started to sort of list off some things: being emotional, not wanting to leave the house, feeling panicked, having panic attacks, anxiety, not really eating, not really feeling like much of the day. And I was ticking these boxes as I'm watching it. And there was something that this therapist said was, all of these symptoms can be something. It could fall into a bracket of depression. It could fall into a bracket of anxiety. It could fall into a bracket of like a cloud of things. But as he's ticking them off, he's saying a lot of people think this is an anxiety disorder when actually it's being masked and it's actually postnatal depression. And a light bulb went off and I just went, oh my God, that's me. That's me. That's how I feel. I feel I could tick 8 out of those 10 boxes that he just mentioned. That's me. So the first thing I did was ring my GP. I rang my GP and my health visitor. And I went to see, I got an appointment and God, I'd been waiting in the doctor's maybe 2 hours to be seen. Had an appointment, but it was just one of those days. And I spoke to my health visitor while she was at the surgery, and she just went, how are you, Joy? Oh, and I just broke down in tears. She'd asked me how I was. I felt fine, but for some reason, I was absolutely bawling my eyes out, and she just looked at me and she went, you've done the right thing. This isn't you. She'd known me. I've seen her at many appointments. This isn't you, Joy. Definitely you've done the right thing. And that morning, I'd cried at flicking the kettle on. That's how bad it had got. So I got in to see the GP. I've told him I've suffered with anxiety, but other things had crept in, and I'd been watching this morning. I explained everything, and he said, yeah, what you're explaining to me right now, how you're feeling, I'm going to tell you it's postnatal depression and a severe anxiety disorder. I was like, brilliant. I now have a name for how I feel. And that was like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. So we talked about it and I went on antidepressants, and we did a 6-month trial of them. And after about, I'd say maybe 2 months, I really started to feel myself again. You know, I wasn't walking around like, sometimes it's hard to see. And I had a good group, I've got a good group of like friends and mummy friends, and they'd be like, so what are we going to do with the kids today, guys? Blah, blah, blah. And some days I was just like, guys, I'm really not up to it. I just don't want to. And I felt guilty because I wasn't taking my son out because of how I was feeling, like I didn't want to go. So my good friends would end up coming around to mine. They'd just show up. I'd be like, oh, right, guys. And they didn't care. I was still in my pyjamas. Ruben wasn't dressed. We'd eaten. But they came round and made brews, and we'd have biscuits and all the rest of it, and that was great. So, yeah, I stayed on the antidepressants, and everything seemed nice and clear, and it really helped. And then I did something that I'm not condoning anybody does, but I actually went to visit family at Christmas and forgot to take my tablets with me, but I didn't realise I'd forgotten until I got home in the new year, and I went, oh, I've missed like 2 weeks. Oh, but I feel all right. Let's not take them anymore. Which is not the right thing to do. You should be weaned off them. But in my case, for me personally, I felt fine, and I still feel fine today. Sometimes I do have a little bit of a wobble, and I think, is this normal? I don't remember what was normal before having postnatal depression. I don't remember having down days. I probably did have them, but maybe I didn't notice them, or they weren't as down as I've had down days. So, yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think, oh God, am I feeling like this because I don't take the tablets anymore? I mean, it's been 9 months since I stopped taking them. So, yeah, I mean, I feel good. I still suffer with anxiety though. I can't go into a supermarket without my husband. Some days I'm feeling like, yeah, I can do this. If I've only got a couple of items and I know exactly what aisle they're in, and I can just whiz through the tills or do a self checkout, I'll go. If I've got to do a big shop, not a chance. I also can't stand it if my husband wheels the trolley off with my son and I've got items and I start to panic if I can't find him. And then oh, right, okay. There is still occasions where we're halfway around the food shop and I can just feel it hitting me and I can try all my techniques and my coping strategies and they just don't work. So I just feel like I have to get out. So I leave Ruben with Daddy and I just go out the shop. I stand outside, take a few clean, big breaths, and then I'll go back in and I can continue my shop. I can go into like smaller shops now. Supermarkets I can't do. But if I go into town and need to go nip into this shop quickly or this shop quickly, I can do that. If I feel good, I can do it. So it's still something that I'm living with, I'm coping with, I'm dealing with. But the reason I wanted to make this and to tell my story was because when I first got diagnosed, the first place I came to was YouTube, because I realised that YouTube was somewhere that I knew people would be absolutely honest. And I was just looking for that person's video to watch and be like, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. Oh, she feels like that. Just like, oh, brilliant. Like, it's not just me. And I found this whole list of videos and I watched a good fair few hours of them and realised, yeah, this is completely normal. A lot of women go through it and it's not something I'm going to hide behind, obviously. Like, the reason I felt like this is my hormones, a few insecurities, but out of this, I've got the most beautiful little boy who brightens up my day every day. And I wouldn't change it. I honestly wouldn't change it. I've never said to myself, God, I wish I didn't have postnatal depression. Because it's just part of my journey. And it's just part of my journey being a mum. And it's part of our journey as a family with Ruben. And I think if I hadn't have gone through this, I don't think I'd have been as open about mental health issues and things like that, because it's a big thing now. A lot of people talk about it, which is brilliant, because I do realise a long time ago, it probably wasn't, say a few years ago, people weren't talking about it. People were just like, oh God, he's got depression, he hides away, he's going to lock the doors and he don't come out and he won't talk to anyone. Whereas now, if I can, I'll talk about it, because that's how I related to somebody, because they told their story and they were speaking about it. And I did check out the Mind charity website, as that's got some really good resources on. And I also liked coming to YouTube and looking at other people's vlogs about this, because I didn't just want to read some medical notes that tells you this is how you should feel. If you don't feel like this, then there is something wrong with you and you need to see your GP. It's quite sort of harsh. Is harsh the right word? I wanted somebody just to go, do you know what, it's okay, and to feel like they're wrapping their arms around me and going, do you know what, I feel like this, and if you feel like this, that is absolutely fine. Come along, we'll get through this together. That's what I was sort of looking for. And I'm not one of those people who's like, come along to the journey. Come on, guys. I'm really not. But if I could, like I said, if I could talk about it, I will. If I find somebody or somebody comes across this video and it helps one person, or one person sees this and thinks, maybe I need to go to the GP, or maybe I should speak to somebody, or maybe I should just mention that this is how I feel, or this is what my mind's thinking and telling me, and this is what my body's doing. Great. That's the whole purpose of this video. So even if you've never gone through postnatal depression, you've never had a baby, you still might have had severe anxiety disorder or any sort of anxiety about anything, there are things out there to help you. You can read books. I did CBT, which was brilliant for me. I had a good friend, who pointed me in that direction because she suffered. My counsellor, brilliant. He was pointed to me by somebody else who I've been speaking to, and they pointed me in that direction. And then, by this morning having that feature, that spoke to me. I then rang the GP. So if people don't talk about it, no one can relate. Maybe it might not click with somebody. So if there is anything that you're worried about, if there is anything that maybe you think you need to go and speak to somebody about, do it. What harm's it going to do? It's not going to hurt you in any way. If anything, it could better you. It could make you feel better. It could really shed some light on your feelings or your mind. So I'm very much talk about it. That's what I want to say. You should talk about it. But I'm going to end it there because I feel like I've gabbled a bit. But if it has helped you, perfect. I'm going to link the Mind Charity website down below. Also, I'm going to link a CBT book that I found the most helpful when I was struggling with my anxiety at its worst. But yeah, if you've liked this video, like I said, please give it a subscribe, give it a like, press the bell notification, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.